Today we are talking about sex, and we have embarked on this sex experiment over the last 7 days. We've challenged couples at Fellowship Church, married couples, to have sex for 7 days. And of course we haven't commanded it, but we've suggested it, Lisa. So I thought today we would talk about that and talk about 7 things that should happen and have happened when we have sex over a week's time.
That's great, because there is such a depth to understanding how God created sex and has placed it at the center and a huge part of marriages. And so I believe that marriages will be strengthened, they will be deepened, the intimacy level on all fronts, whether it's physical, emotional, the relationship between husband and wife will just be incredible because of this experiment.
And it's not that we don't think about sex. We all think about sex, but I don't think that we think deeply enough about it, because whenever you connect God with sex or sex with God, people freak. It's interesting just to really, they get all interested, and some people don't understand it. And I think it's been really amazing, Lisa, to see the responses from people, how many have maybe done the pushback at first, but now they're warmly receiving this and welcoming this, and it's causing a lot of people to think. It's also causing a lot of believers to do it in marriage, because I don't think we're having enough sex in marriage.
A recent poll says, well, you gave statistics last week about the poll that said, what was it, 78% of fathers did not feel that they were sexually fulfilled, they were not having sex enough. And I saw a recent poll that said that couples who consider their marriages to be above average put 81% of them, they have a very active sex life. So it definitely is a barometer reading, a temperature gauge on how the marriage is going. And I like to talk about the romance or the connectivity with communication. Those are the things that just, to me, say so much about how the marriage is going. But the reality of it is the depth of sex, the part that we just forget how deeply God thinks of it, what a huge part it plays in our marriage. And so now I'm coming to understand that that is really the temperature gauge.
It is, because what happens inside the bedroom affects what happens outside the bedroom, and also what happens outside the bedroom affects what happens inside the bedroom. So during this 7 days of sex, a lot of us have had a lot of sex. For some, maybe it's not been that much.
You can tell by those who are smiling.
There are a lot of happy people here at Fellowship Church.
But on that note, too, Ed, we also know that there have been a lot of issues dealt with this week. And we know that there's been some pain.
Exactly.
Hopefully there's been some forgiveness. But if anything could come out of this, because there's not there's not an award for the 7-day challenge. Nobody's out here trying to get an award. But there is a reward of what God can do in your marriage. And if there has been some conflict and some difficult times, our prayer is that you've sought help. Whether it's going to a Christian counselor or talking to a confidant, someone who can give you great biblical understanding. Maybe you're going to revisit some of the teachings of this series just to have that understanding of what God wants sex to be like in your marriage.
And almost every married couple we've talked to in years and years and years of teaching about marriage and sex and speaking at different conferences, almost every couple has said, you know what, I wish we had more sex. And that's why we have these stanchions up here, because these stanchions represent, at least, some bedroom barriers that a lot of couples face. Like, for example, kids. And then this next one is the career thing. So many of us have dual incomes, and we're going here, going there, and this career thing is tough to balance. Then on top of that, the commitments.
And then my favorite is fatigue. Sometimes all this stuff, you're just like, I'm so tired, I'm so tired.
And these are real barriers, real bedroom barriers. And I think the couples here have overcome a lot of these barriers because you have made good on this experiment.